Hey guys, and welcome to today's show. You are watching Unlocked with Tracy Wilson, and I'm so pleased to have you guys here today. Now, I've got a couple of questions for you before we start. I want to know a couple of things from you because today's show is going to be all about these things. I want to know if you're ever sick and tired of just trying to do everything yourself. You know, you just get worn out trying to be all things, do everything for everybody. And do you ever find yourself saying, far out, I wish I could just clone myself. If I could just clone myself, that would be the answer. Or just, man, there's just not enough time in the day. I don't know how I've managed to get all of this stuff done in just 24 hours. I wish every day had 48 hours in it. So if you're someone who says any of those things, I want you to hang around because the stuff that I'm going to talk about today is really going to help you out now and well into the future. So like always, before we kick off, I want to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. You can see me okay. And I want to give you a little bit of a rundown on how this show rolls, how we roll on the Unlock show. So on today, you'll be seeing me either on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is that you are watching this show right now. What I want you to do is just make sure that you click the link above and that you click the button that says allow StreamYard to see you. What that will enable me to do is to be able to see you and answer any questions that you may have, because all of these shows that are unlocked are absolutely that. They are an opportunity for you to also ask me questions and I will answer them. And the only way I will know what question you have is if you type them to me and I can respond to you individually. So please make sure that you do that. If you are listening to the podcast, if you want to watch this live, you want to watch the live show, good morning, Reza, great to have you here. You want to watch the live show, you need to head on over to the Facebook group called Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life. I go live in that group twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday if you're in America, and a Wednesday to Friday if you are Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere. So welcome to today's show. I'm going to talk about the things that are going to make your life a whole lot simpler, because that's what we do here on the Unlock show. So today's topic is the best way to create a clone of yourself to get more done, to help you find more time, and to help you make more money. Who does not want that? So if you do want to find more time, make more money, and just be a happier person, then, you know, today's the day that you need to listen up and be taking notes. Like always, I will have a giveaway at the end of today's show. You'll find them inside of the group in the files section. So I'll get them in there this afternoon at about 5 p.m. So let's get this show on the road. So there's a couple of myths that I want to bust today that I think are going to help you kind of reset your mindset and get you to think about things in a slightly different way. And I know I've heard myself say, and some of my colleagues say in the past, I wish I could just clone myself. Now, this is myth buster number one. If only I could clone myself, things would be a whole lot better. Now, often we think that that is the case. However, can you imagine if you had an absolute clone of yourself in your business? I mean, for me, as much as, you know, we say that as a flippant comment and off the cuff kind of remark, I wish we could clone ourselves. When you really sit back and you think about that, just imagine what it would be like working with somebody exactly the same as you, a clone of you. And based on what I heard Tamara McCleary talk about a couple of weeks ago on the show on Vicky's coffee break show, that quite possibly could be possible in the future. That could be a bit scary, because I know that when you have a clone of exactly the same as you, someone that thinks like you, does like you, is exactly like you, that is not always a good thing, particularly in a business sense. What that will end up doing is really limiting your thoughts and and the way in which you expand and grow your business. I can tell you, impossible. Yeah, I can tell you that in our business, the beauty of having people that think very differently to me is really a beautiful thing. So, you know, having that clone of oneself is not always a good thing. Having diversity and having different people, you know, in your sphere of influence and in your world and on your team is really important, to have different types of people. So I've got something that I wanted to, I'm not sure if you guys are all aware of this, but I'm sure you are all familiar with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has got a free what we call a DISC assessment available on his website. And a little bit after the show, I'll put the link in there. You can go and get it. It's for free. There's a limited version that you can get on Tony Robbins' website. Why am I recommending this? Well, the first key to kind of this whole process of setting yourself free is being self-aware, is having a really high level of self-awareness. And sometimes it's difficult for us to do that. Sometimes it's difficult for us to step back and go, do you know what am I actually really good at? Where are my weaknesses? Sometimes we can't always see them for ourselves. So this tool that I'm going to recommend for you, which, like I said, you can find on Tony Robbins' website, is called the DISC assessment. What does a DISC assessment allow you to do? Well, it will now enable you to kind of sit back and do exactly what I just said. Take stock of the things that you are really good at. It will now enable you to have a certain level of self-awareness to understand what is it that you are good at? What are the things that actually motivate you? What are the things that motivate you to take action? And what are some of your, I suppose, innate behaviors that you have that you might not even realize that are just a subconscious behavior that you do regularly. So it's like understanding what those are, so you then can understand what do you need on your team to help you move forward. And I'm pretty sure it's not a clone of yourself. As much as we would love that at times, it's most likely not. You want to have diversity. You want to understand what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. And equally, you can put any of your team members or any potential new team member through the DISC profile, so you can actually see whether or not they are a good fit for you and your team and where you're moving in your business. So always great to to understand that. So that would be the first thing I would do. Increase the level of awareness that you have, and then just understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and use that Tony Robbins free assessment to help you do so. So I'm just seeing a heap of you guys are jumping on right now. Hi, Karen. Hi, Reza. Hey, Robin, Vicky. I know we've got a bunch of other people out there that I just can't see your guys' names. So please let me know if you are here. Just type to me and say, hi, Trace, it's so-and-so, and I'm calling in from such and such a place. And I'll make sure that I give you a bit of a shout out. So the next myth that I want to bust is, maybe I should just go and hire a whole lot more people, because when I hire some new people, well, that's going to really help me out, because they then can take some of the tasks that I currently do and they will be able to do them instead of me. Now, that would be a common thing that most of us would, nothing wrong with that. We think that that's the answer to the problem of having, not enough time, not enough hands to do things. So let's just go and get more people. And the old saying of, many people make light work. Now, that is true if you do some specific things, which I'm going to talk about very shortly. If you don't, and you just put these people on your team without any real thought or any systems or processes, a little bit of a hint there, systems or processes, then what will actually happen is it's going to create you a whole lot more work and a whole lot more training and a massive learning curve and a bunch of people that you have to try and manage before you can get to that point where you're over that hump and they're actually doing things for themselves without you having to, have a lot of involvement. So what happens once you do in the next myth that I'm going to bust, I'm actually going to give you some steps as to what you can do and how you can go about implementing systems and processes into your business, so that you can have a team that does all the right things at the right time, that are almost doing the things the way in which you prescribe them. And then it gives you leverage and also scalability in your business. So, this stuff that I'm going to talk about in a moment around systems and processes, not always the sexy stuff, not always the stuff that people like or enjoy doing, but I can tell you it is the thing that will help to set you free when you put systems and processes in place. And I'm going to give you some step-by-step instructions on how you can do it really easily without it taking a whole bunch of time for you. So why don't you know this? This is a really interesting fact, and it says that 42% of businesses actually say that their biggest systemization problem or challenge is that they have no time to actually create systems or processes in their business. So if that's the case, I want to show you guys how you can do it without you having to do it as a separate thing. You want to do it in a way that is just incorporated into your day. And the first part of this is actually realizing or acknowledging that you need to implement systems and processes, because without them, your ability to be able to scale or bring on new people into your team, without them taking up a whole lot more of your time and getting you frustrated, will be very, very limited. So, you know, like I said, the stuff I'm going to talk about now is going to be super, super important. The other thing that putting systems and processes into your business will do, and I've done this a number of times for businesses, particularly when they're gearing up to sell. So I've had heaps of clients in the past that have come to me and said, hey, we actually want to put our business on the market. And I say to them, okay, cool, let's have a look at that. What systems and processes have you got in place? Because all of those help to formulate give value to your business. It's like your IP, the systems, the processes, and they will help you to build a really solid platform that you then can show to somebody else. It's going to make your business extremely desirable. Hi, Rosina. Great to see you here too. So make your business extremely desirable when you put the systems and processes in. And like I said, it's also going to allow you to take a step back and not necessarily have to be the person that's in the business, working in the business all the time. So I'm just gonna shoot over to some of the comments that I've got here. What have I got going on here? So Karen's saying that she worked for a company that required the DISC profiling before hiring. We had an amazing applicant who did not place well on the DISC for our culture, and we pushed to hire him, but we did a huge mistake, and I have massive regard for the DISC profiling. I would totally agree with you on that, Karen. I've had multiple times where we've thought this is going to be a great hire, this person's going to fit, you know, really well, and then when you put them through the process, it just starts to highlight or uncover some things that maybe you didn't get to recognize in a 30-minute to 1 hour interview with somebody, even if you go down the path of getting references for that person. So I would encourage you, if ever you're going to hire, you want to make sure that you include a DISC profile inside of your recruitment process, and also being very, very clear on what the job entails. So what is the job description, and what are all the things that you need that person to do, and getting a really good feel for, you know, what are their goals and what are they trying to achieve? What are they going to bring to your company, and what are they going to get from working for your company? Both of those questions are extremely important. So let's get stuck in and let's talk about systems and processes. And like I said, lots of people don't think these are necessarily sexy, but I can tell you they become darn sexy when you start bringing on staff members and they're just doing the process, and you go, oh, holy cow, man, stuff is just happening without me having to have my thumb and my finger in every single little pie. So, let's get stuck into what do we do and how do we do it. Here at Metadome, we've been going through this process. This is why I wanted to share this with you and why it's extremely fresh in my mind. Every day we are developing new things here. And every day when we develop something new, my mind automatically goes to, how do I systemize this process? So how do I document it? And then how do I potentially automate that? So is this process going to require a person, or is it a process that I can actually use technology to help me automate it so that it happens on autopilot, anytime I want it to? So maybe I can stop for a moment on what you guys should think about in your business. Just give me a bit of a gauge. Let me know, have you actually got systems and processes that you've documented? Are they well documented? Give yourself sort of a rating of 1 to 10. 1 being you don't have any, 10 being you've got lots of systems and processes documented and other people can actually follow them really easily. So just give me a bit of a gauge on where you guys are at. And let me know whether or not you've got systems and processes in your business, because I'll be able to tailor this conversation to suit you guys too. So the first thing, this is what I do, and this is what I've done many times in the past, is really looking at what are the tasks that I need to do. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked about goals and having, goals and for your business. And then I'm sort of breaking those goals down. So I look at, Like, what's my 12-month goal? Break them down into 3 monthlies, break them down into monthly, and then give myself and my team weekly tasks and activities that we need to do each week to achieve the goal that we're trying to achieve over the year, or over usually we're working in 30-day increments. So that's how we work, and that's how I've worked, basically all of my career, my adult working career. When I do that, I break them down into weeklies. When I'm looking at my weekly tasks, I'm starting to implement those, and I'm starting to think about what are the things that I actually need to do to bring the said goal to fruition. And I break it down into 3 parts. So there's 3 things that make up this. I'm usually looking at what is the process. So I'm trying to create myself SOPs, or standard operating procedures. Those are the things that somebody else could come in and start following the process to make sure that that task or activity is completed. The second thing I'm looking at is what are the people. So what is the process? Who are the people that I need to make that process work? And then the third thing is, what tools do I need to make that process work? So that's kind of at a high level perspective. I start there with the process, the tools, and the people are the 3 things I do at that level. Then I start breaking things down, and I generally am looking at 5 categories. So in any business, there are usually these 5 things in every single business. And I want you guys to think about the systems and the processes that you put into place in terms of the process, the people, and the tool that you need in each of these 5 categories. And the 5 categories are these. So I look at administration. So in my business, what administration do I need? And of course, there are subcategories that sit within that. Like, I would put all of my tools in my administration bucket. Okay, and then the next one is sales. So for sales, what do I need to make sales happen in my business? So that is like the actual delivery of whatever it is that I'm doing, my service or my product. Then I'm looking at marketing. So what do I need to do from a marketing perspective? Then team, and then finance. And then I also have like this miscellaneous bucket, which I call ideas. So I always have a bucket that's called ideas, and that just enables our team and myself to continually be on the front foot and having the mindset of thinking about continuous development. How do I continue to develop and build on the things that I've already started? So I start with my base, and then I continue to build on those and perfect the system as I go. What I would say to you is that don't worry. When you first start doing this, your system's probably not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Hi, Gian, I see you've just joined. Nice to have you here. So your system's not going to be perfect, and it doesn't matter. So the purpose of this is just to start getting your system and your process down. So starting to document exactly what it is that you do and how you do it, with the view that it will enable you to hand that system and process on to somebody else so that they can pick it up and they can do it. And they will do it as prescribed, the way in which you have taught them to do it. So this is not a clone of you, but it's probably pretty darn close, and allows the other person to still have some level of autonomy and flexibility with the system. And when they start looking at it, I can assure you that they start looking at it and they go, oh, I could do that. I think if we did this, that would improve that system a little bit better. So over time, having another set of eyes look at it also helps you to improve the system and make it better, and have little adjustments to it as you move forward. So you want to start with just one thing. So like I said, when you look at like the 3 categories, so the person, the tool, and the process, then you're looking at the 5 categories. Then you're starting to just pluck a process off one by one. So you start with just one process, and you might just do one process a day. That's just, you might just start with that, something really, really simple, one thing a day. And before you know it, by the time you got to the end of the year, if you did every single day, you'd have 365 processes that you would have put into your business. The other thing I would say here is, don't feel like you have to be, like it has to be super onerous, that you've got to document every single little thing that you do. You don't necessarily want to do that. Why? Because it becomes a pain in the backside and people just don't want to follow a system like that. So keep it, bullet pointed, enough detail that people can get the job done, but not so much detail that it becomes like overbearing and almost, micromanagement. So you need to find this nice balance between the two. And usually that comes with, just giving the step-by-step bullet pointed, do this, do this, do this, without all of the whys and wherefores that need to go with it, because they will generally figure that out themselves along the way. So pick your process. Then you want to record your steps. There's some really cool tools that you can use. So if you were doing something online and you were, let's say you were building out a website, or you were wanting to create a landing page or something that's electronic, the way in which I start recording the process is I use a tool called Loom, Loom. It is it's a free software, so there's a free version and a paid version of the software, but it's really awesome because you can just add it as a Chrome extension, and then when you go to create a process, I just click the little Chrome extension and it starts recording my movements online. It can record me talking through the process, so actually recording like this with my face and me talking, or the screen at the same time. So just the screen if you don't want to be on video, or the screen and you talking at the same time. It's a super, super handy tool, and it will help you create systems and processes for your business. But secondly, it could potentially also help you create a whole heap of tutorials and videos that you can use to put inside of any type of membership program or any kind of teaching process that you have, whether it's for your internal team or whether you're using it for, you're selling you've created a product and a service out of that. You can use Loom. The other way, of course, is just to get out good old pen and paper, which is my best. I use pen and paper a lot, so I'll pull out my, I've got mountains and mountains of these exercise books that I've got my systems, my processes written in them. They become my Bibles. But secondly, I'm also a really big PowerPoint user. So when I'm trying to get something out of my head, like map out a system and a process, I usually use PowerPoint, and I will simply pull up a blank PowerPoint, and I just use, I'm really good at drawing really fancy boxes, and I just color code those boxes, and another day I can show you them. But basically pull out a PowerPoint presentation and just start mapping out. Step number 1, I would do this. Step number 2, I do this. Step number 3, I do this, so on and so forth. And then once you've got that, what you're actually doing when you create that is you're also creating like a blueprint or a roadmap or pathway for somebody to follow. So it's a really nice, particularly if you're a visual person like me, I like to have the visuals so I can actually see what are the steps. And the other alternative is to use something like Word, and you just simply create yourself a table that has, what was the task, step number 1, what's the task, then by whom, by when, you can put that in there too. And it's just really nice to be able to put those in there. Another really awesome tool that our team is using, and we use it in combination with all of these things that I'm talking about today. We use it in combination with Loom. We use the PowerPoint presentations. We use Word documents to pull all of this stuff together. And then the place that we put it all, so it's all in one spot, is a program called Monday.com. Again, we will put a link into the show notes so that you can go there and get it. It's a really awesome tool to help you build out all of the systems and processes with your business. And it has so much functionality to it. It's not even funny. They are continuing to develop that program. So it will serve you well now, even if you're just a one-man band, as well into the future when you have lots and lots of staff with you. So go check out Monday.com. So like I said, you're going to pick your process. You're going to record the steps using some of the tools that I've just gone through. The next thing that you want to do is you want to run through that process again. So when you're trying to determine, well, which process should I actually create a system for first, the thing that you want to think about is this a one-off task that I'm going to do once and we're never going to do again? Or is this a task that is going to be repetitive? If it's something that you need somebody to do every day, then that is a perfect example of a task that you need to create a system and a process around. So that will really help you to start to prioritize which things in my business should I create a system and a process for first. It's the ones that you do more frequently. It's the ones that you need somebody to do either yourself or somebody else in your business to do daily. That's where I would recommend you start, and that will get them off of your plate sooner rather than later. And then, like I said, if you're doing a one-off task, but you think you might want to do it again down the track, but it's just not an everyday thing, then of course you can continue to, you can use this exact same process. If you do it at the same time as you are implementing it for yourself, it is going to save you a lot of time, and you won't have to go back and try and remember how did I actually create this, or having to recreate it with a system and a process down the track. So let me look. Wow, I'm getting heaps of comments here. So what have I got going on here? You saying my work lounge room is full of butcher's paper, and now I'm going to type them into Word. Thank you, team. I'm learning how to make things simpler and smarter. Yeah, I mean, butcher's paper. I've used a product called Right Away in the past, which actually allows me to turn my windows and my walls into whiteboards that I can just, it doesn't damage the walls or anything like that. So great if you're somebody who's renting. But I have had that plastered all over my house when I've been trying to put together systems and processes or create new products. So butcher's paper, great way to do it. Even just a blank exercise book with no lines on it is also a great way to do this. So the next thing you want to do is you want to run the process. So you need to check to make sure that the process actually does work. So either you create the process once, you then want to go back, because this is where the daily thing comes in, because the next day you're going to follow the process and make sure that you haven't missed anything, and you can add to it, of course, the very next day if you need to, and or give that to somebody else to follow. Giving it to someone else that doesn't know, because we tend to fill in the gaps really easily when we've created the process and we go to do it again. We don't always see the gaps. So giving it to somebody else to do, even one of your kids, someone a little bit, in their teenage years, if they can follow it, then one would hope that an adult a little bit older would be able to follow it. So, give it to one of your teenage, children, or, grab a niece or nephew or a friend to help you do it. Just give them the process and ask them to follow it, and just watch. I talked about this process a couple of shows ago. We are actually going to watch somebody do what you've asked them to do, so that you can make sure that the system and the process that you are hoping will happen actually does happen. So that's the third thing, is to run through the process. And then the last thing is like to automate repetitive tasks. That's going to help you to unlock even more efficiency. So there will be some tasks that you can do. Does it require an actual person, or can you get a tool that will help you to create what it is that you want to create? So, having funnels, automating your processes, email marketing, using systems like Zapier to help you do things that are repetitive. So all these tools that I'm covering off today are really useful tools, not only to help you create the system and the process, but then further down the track to help you actually systemize and potentially automate some of this, so you don't have to hire a person. You actually implement the process in a technical and automated way that just happens on autopilot. So I wanted to run through some of these myths today. So the myth that I wanted to talk about, like I said, work cloning yourself is not always the best way to go. Go and get yourself, you set up these systems and processes. It'll get you as close as you possibly can, whilst also allowing some level of autonomy for your team. The systems and processes are the things that will set you free down the track. Might take you a little bit of time up front, but if you follow the process that I've covered off today, it will minimize the amount of time it takes. These should not be and let's go do these tasks. They should be a task that are done at the same time. And the way that I've just taught you to do it, and I will, of course, put some instructions together so that you guys can follow them. That is the gift that you're going to get today, so that you can follow this process and implement your own processes and systems into your business to free up some time for you, give you some, give you some sanity back, give you leverage and scalability for the future. And also it will make your business a lot more valuable, because there may come a day where you want to sell it, or you're going to take all of the systems and processes that you have just created for yourself, you can package them up really nicely, and they become a really awesome product that you could sell for a lot of money. So there's multiple reasons why you should do this, and why you will want to do it sooner rather than later. So I hope today's information has been useful for you. Like always, you'll find the helpful tools inside of the files section, inside the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life group on Facebook. Go find us. Soon there will be a podcast coming out, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Like I said, we've got a book coming out in June, which has a lot of this stuff in it, in a lot more detail. So you want to keep your eyes peeled for that. And join me again. I will be back again on Friday for New Zealand and Australia. And for those of you that are in the United States or elsewhere in the Northern Hemisphere, I will be back online with you guys on your Thursday. So thanks very much. I always appreciate you guys spending time with me. It's always a load of fun. Today was a little heavy in terms of systems and processes always are. I didn't say it was going to be sexy, but I know that once you put it into place and you start seeing people actually follow the processes, it will become very, very sexy. So with that being said, I'm going to thank you all for your time. Look forward to seeing you guys back here again on my Friday, your Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tracy Wilson, and you've been watching The Unlock Show. See you again soon. Have a great day.